Way before automatic gearboxes, smartphones and GPS, Britain's recovery scene looked very, very different. In fact, in the 80s and 90s, it pretty much looked like this. This is my 1988 Ford Transit recovery truck, finished in its stunning AA livery, and I thought I'd show you around it. As a child, I can remember my mum buying this for me at a car boot. A corgi toy, not much to think of, but I loved it. I loved playing with it with my toy cars and towing them along. So when the opportunity came up to buy a real one, I couldn't miss it. This is the 1988 Mk3 Ford Transit. It was originally white, it was originally trashed, and I had 2 chances at buying it. But the second time I said yes, and managed to make a dream come true of having my toy car in real form. Now I'm sure there's those of you out there that think, oh, why did he want to make one of those out of anything, out of Ferraris or Paganis, whatever. This is just cool. It gets the most compliments. Everyone loves it. I met the original owner of it from new at a show a couple of months back, and it's just a bit iconic really, isn't it? And I do really like it, and it's functional. I can use it to move vehicles around. It's a great bit of kit. Now this is a 3rd generation Transit. So Mk3 launched in 1986. This is a 1988 example. And just like many of those, used a 2.5 litre DI engine, so it's naturally aspirated. It is extremely slow, extremely slow. The interior is just basic. Nice, comfy big seat, huge dinner plate steering wheel. You've got your clock in the middle, your fuel and your speed over there. That's all you need. And manual, of course, with the AA mascot. And it is just, like I say, I mean, for starters, it's rugged, it's very easy to work on. You can get most of the parts fairly easily. You've got the big beefy twin wheels on the back to help take the load. It's quite fun. It needs a few bits doing. Its MOT is due now and it's going to need some body work, but it's just a really, really fun vehicle to drive. Now I'm very glad I've got a mic on because it is extremely loud, that iconic diesel rumble of a Transit. But if you have never seen how this works, maybe you've never needed to be recovered, in which case, please teach me all ways, because I'm definitely a very paid up member of the AA. Now, the spec-lift is on the back of this, named because it looks like spectacles. You can see the 2 squares, and that is where the front wheels would sit of the casualty vehicle. Now today we're going to use the Volkswagen Polo to show you, but it would take pretty much any vehicle, and the bigger the spec-lift truck, the bigger the vehicles you could carry. Normally sort of 7.5 ton would be your max, and then you go to a heavy wrecker where you actually chain onto the front axles rather than holding the wheels. So I'll show you how it works. I am the AA, it's 1988, and I've turned up to recover your Volkswagen Polo. So our control panels are in here. It's actually all on one big remote. So we can release our winch cable, should we need it, if the vehicle is not moving at all. And then we have a pin down here, a safety pin. Now if we move everything up, we can actually release this, like so, and we pull this pin out of here, which is a pain because it never sits anywhere. Now we can lower everything. This cable is huge, absolutely huge. Nowadays you'd have a wireless remote, keep your distance from the vehicle, it's a lot safer, a lot easier, but we can lower every part. So we can actually lower the frame. So this is hydraulic and it's releasing the pressure to lower itself. And then if we need to get closer to the vehicle, we can also do that. As you can see, we can slide this ram out up to the casualty vehicle. It's a pretty cool bit of kit, to be fair, very useful. Now the idea would be, and I'll show you, is we bring the vehicle on, it would sit in the frames, we'd strap the vehicle up, and then we would lift this whole bar up to a decent height and tow the casualty vehicle. So let's do that. Okay, so first off, we're going to lower this down to the ground with our controls, like so, and then we can just drive our casualty vehicle straight on. In today's case, that is our Volkswagen Polo Harlequin, which I will do a video on at some point as well. Very, very rare vehicle, only around 25 left on the roads today. Now this is obviously for the vehicle running and driving. If it wasn't, we would be able to winch it on into the grid. As I step out of the vehicle, we can see that the wheels are sat in the frame on both sides. It's quite a skinny wheelbase, and we can then actually lift the vehicle up. You can see, just like that, the vehicle is brought up, and then we can always bring it in, and we would strap the wheels into the wheel grids. And that is how a spec lift works. When we get to the other end, we lower the frame like so and reverse the vehicle off. So when we're back at the customer's address, we can fold it all back up the way it came, and we would be ready for our next recovery job, just like that. It's quite a versatile truck, really, pretty good. We've got lockers full of kit and tools as well, so you could use it for roadside repairs and not just for recovery. And then what we do is you pop that pin back in where it came from, like so. And then we just wrap the winch back round and reel that in. And that's it. That is how you use a spec lift in the 1980s. And it's pretty much the same principle for any other truck today. The same kit, modern obviously, and a bit newer, and slightly different layouts to the spec frame, but the same principle. Today you've seen how a spec lift works. Like I say, it's a fairly common bit of kit, but you are seeing less and less of these sorts of trucks on the road now. Now the reason being is legally in the UK, these can only be used to move stricken or broken down vehicles. So I can't say I'm going to take the Harlequin to a VW show and I'm going to take this, because that vehicle is not broken down. That is the rules of using a spec lift. They're almost sort of meant to be like a short term, a couple of miles to your local garage, drop the vehicle off. And any vehicle you have on this must be MOT'd and taxed as well. So you don't really see them. Obviously nowadays you've got the huge big slide beds. They're a lot more common, a hell of a lot more expensive, but cover you for all eventualities. And obviously if the vehicle has been rolled into a ditch, you're not really going to get it on that frame. So I thought I'd show you a bit of the interior, and we'd talk about the average recovery operator's day back in the 80s, and look at a few features, a very, very few features that this Transit comes with. Now, first things first, before we actually jump in the cab, we've got these lockers on each side. I've put sort of my own kit in it and bits and bobs, but we have got plenty of spare ratchet straps. You've got wheel frames that actually go round the spec lift and allow you to strap the tyres onto it. Later trucks have a sort of a bar welded on that you can hook it onto. Much better design. And there's also a bike frame that normally lives up here, which allows you to tow motorbikes as well. So a pretty cool bit of kit. Huge locker space in here. This runs through to the other side. So you could quite easily carry the tools for roadside breakdown and a repair if recovery wasn't needed. So really quite a versatile truck. Same in here. Space for tools. So got tow bar, fire extinguisher, jerry can. Really quite a cool truck. Now inside, Ford Transits are very, very basic. As I said, you've just got your fuel gauge, your temperature, a clock, an actual analog clock, and your speedo. We have a Sony stereo though, bit of a nice upgrade, but very, very basic. We've got one switch down here for our roof beacons, the AA beacons. I'll put a clip in here about that. And we've got a basic heater, blower control and manual. That is it. But we've got a double bench seat here, and we've got a bench seat in the back where you could carry another 3 passengers. So if you had recovered a family, you could quite easily get them home or get them to their destination. This is a Sunday in September. This is the emergency test on your phone. So you can put your phone on silent for filming and you'll still get interrupted by the government. Now, I wasn't around in the 80s, so I can't comment, but I know from various Facebook groups of recovery drivers or people that worked for the AA or whoever back then, that it was very much a kind of you turn up and you get the job done attitude, no matter what, come rain, snow, hail, sleet, pitch black, you just got it done. Now, by today's standards, there's obviously a hell of a lot of health and safety. Some could argue rightly so. But back then, with the Transit, you could have turned up to a wide array of recovery jobs and just got it done. We've obviously got the big powerful winch on the back. I've used that to move heavy stuff. It's great. You could pull a car out of a ditch. That's one type of recovery. You could pick up a vehicle that's been overheating with the spec lift and take it to a garage. That's another job. And then you've also obviously got all this locker space. So we could have kit for breakdowns. We could have spare parts, spare batteries, jump packs. You know, we could actually try and fix a vehicle roadside. However, if you think back then and contrast it with today, we'd have halogen lamps, these work lights. We'd have this rotating beacon. It's not fantastically bright and very little, not creature comforts, but kind of safety and just features. Today's AA trucks will turn up with huge bright white LEDs to illuminate your vehicle, to illuminate their vehicle to other road users. Bright amber LEDs the whole way around the vehicle. You can never have enough to alert others to road presence. And yet in the 90s even, road workers were still being, or recovery operators were still being killed roadside because the people just didn't pay enough attention. That doesn't change. Obviously, with the advent of smartphones, it's probably more likely to happen nowadays for someone to be just not concentrate. But it's quite a brave job for anyone now, as it was back then. So I commend the people that actually use them. Now, around the time of the 80s, most recovery firms would either have a vehicle like this, so it's kind of dual purpose. At least if you turned up and couldn't fix it, you could recover them. Or you'd have your patrol vans, just a basic transit van with tools in. And if you needed to, maybe some dollies, or you'd call out a bigger truck. Most recovery vehicles were actually designed from World War II vehicles, so repurposed World War II vehicles. Crouch Recovery is a fantastic example of this. If you go back and look at some of their older vehicles for sale or that have been repurposed, they can be sort of ex-World War II or Cold War vehicles which are repurposed because they're such heavy duty that they can almost pull anything. Now, by today's standards, the Transit is rather outdated, obviously. They no longer really make spec lift kind of variants. You've got bigger, beefier, you've got Ivecos, you've got Isuzus now that are more commonly used, 7.5 ton ones, which means you can carry a lot more. They're probably, can I say they're more reliable? People love the Smiley Transit. I don't want to do it a disservice. They're evenly matched, let's say. But driving one of these compared to driving something modern, I'd rather be in the modern one. The 2.5 in this is non-turbo. It's naturally aspirated. It is very, very slow. It is very, very loud without a vehicle on the back. Bearing in mind, you've got to get to the recovery you're doing before you've even recovered the vehicle. So, you know, nowadays when you complain that it takes 4 hours for the AA to turn up, this is bloody slow. It feels like a day driving one of these, but I love it. I love it. It's manual, it's a bit of fun, it's very agricultural and rugged. People still look at you on the way to shows and that, like if they're in the hard shoulder, they're, they're coming for me. No, I'm not. I'm going to a show, but it's a fantastic vehicle. Obviously the AA livery, you know, the logo for starters, AA still has the same logo. So it does look like it could be the real deal, but it's such fun. I've never seen another for sale with the spec lift body, because to actually do that, you need a double cab chassis body, twin wheel, with that short a wheelbase. It's a really small wheelbase truck. Then obviously someone to fabricate the body. It's got uprated leaf springs on the back to take the weight and all the spec kit. So you need a fair bit to go into it. I have no idea how much it was when new, but I don't imagine it was too cheap. Now, I will put some footage up of the work I had done to this. Like I said, it was originally white and I wanted to do this for a long time, so I got it resprayed, did a fair bit of work to it to smarten it up. It now needs some more doing ahead of its MOT. It is, what is it, nearly 40 years old. Geez, nearly 40 years old. It's going to need some bodywork doing, all transits, you know, the wheel arch and bits like that. But it's a great bit of kit and I love driving it. There was one for sale a while ago with a Rolls-Royce engine in it. I've no idea what it went for. And I think there's another for sale now in a bit of a better shape and condition, but I love it. I mean, it could definitely do with a turbo engine, absolutely. Maybe that's something to consider doing, but it is such a great iconic vehicle. It stands out, doesn't it? It really does. We've got our logo, obviously, there. This is another thing here. We've got Anderson connector, so we can connect jump leads to that and jump a vehicle from the back. And it just really is a cool truck. And it all came from that Corgi model when I was a child. So let's just go back to that. I made a few versions. There we go. The two Corgi models. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do like, subscribe, comment. If you drove for the AA or if you drove any recovery vehicles now or back then, just comment. Let me know stories. You know, these are things that don't get passed down. You know, it's amongst people that are interested in it. I'm interested. So comment a story below. I'll see you for the next video. Thank you.